Okay, so today we'll discuss about ICA and ICA virtual channels, because even we can control those ICA virtual channels from the policies. Okay, so what is the meaning of ICA is ICA Independent Computing Architecture. So it's one of the Citrix proprietary protocol, to deliver those apps on desktops from the VDA. Whenever the user connects from the workspace app or Citrix receiver or online agent, PN agent. So these are the different names of the agent, but the protocol is ICA itself. Whereas Microsoft protocol is RDP, Citrix protocol is ICA. So a lot of people will ask us why, what are the advantages of ICA compared to RDP? So ICA is doing the magic for the Citrix. Say it's a proprietary and patent protocol from the Citrix. So now, whenever the user is connecting, the data is going to be travel from the client to the connection goes to server. That application is going to be delivered back to the server to client. Our desktop can be delivered to the users. Okay, and audio, clipboard, USB, all how it's going to communicate, it's going to be discussed. And ICA belongs to which layer in the TCP ISO OSA model is? It belongs to like a presentation layer. So it belongs to presentation layer. On top of that, we'll have the one more layer. Seventh layer is application layer we have. Okay. So now in the ICA, inside that ICA, we have the different virtual channels. One how the path is going to be established with those. So here we have the different communication path we have, and each virtual channel we have their own unique channel ID. That means under ICA we have the different virtual channels that's going to set up the path. But through the policies, we are blocking that path. So that means for clipboard in the ICA, we have one virtual channel. For printing, we have one virtual channel. For the audio redirection, we have one virtual channel. For twin devices, we have virtual channel. For USB, we have the virtual channel. Okay, so that's we can control through the
Yes.
Citrix policies. Through the Citrix policies, we are going to come we can control. So the virtual channel is a logical communication path. Inside that path is going to be open, and with that the communication is going to happen. With that communication is going to happen. Okay, so now with the session, what is going to happen is by default, the screen of that application or maybe the desktop is going to be delivered to the user. And from the session side, the mouse and the keyboard hit should be sent to that client. That means by default at the client side, whatever the mouse, keyboards, touch screen, all those also is going to be connected. So with that, the application is our desktop is running on the remote server, and keyboard, mouse, clicks, all these are running from the client side. Okay, and audio, printing, clipboard, USB data, hard disk kind of data, file transfers, all those are going to be connected over the single session. And one of the advantage of the Citrix ICA is very lightweight, very secure, and with the low bandwidth also it works. Whereas RDP required more bandwidth and less secure compared to ICA, and takes more time also to connect. Okay, so in the low latency kind of networks, RDP session may disconnect, but ICA is very powerful kind of protocol. Okay, so now here say we have the presentation. Mostly this belongs to the presentation layer, and it's going to compress the data also. That's the reason it works very low data also. And the protocol it is using is 1494 for ICA communication, and if enable session reliability, it's going to use 2598. Okay, say 2598. Okay, we have the different virtual channels we have. On the client side, that Citrix Workspace app will provide the drivers how it can communicate. Server side, that server anyhow, the server will take care. On the client side, that is the reason we require Citrix Workspace app. And for each one, they'll have the communication over those like a driver script has been given by the Citrix. Using those, the communication is going to happen. For each virtual channel, they will have the driver code. That's with the workspace app the user is getting. With this is going to communicate. Okay, so then here we have the virtual channels. Like for the graphics, we have those are like HDX level. Keyboard and mouse by default will come, or controlling the session, Windows resizing, all this license, clipboard. So clipboard is like a cut, copy, paste images, text files, printing, printer redirection. We'll discuss. HDX is like this is also one of the Citrix proprietary technology. When we are delivering the multimedia kind of content, animation kind of content, it takes lot of bandwidth. But the Citrix in an optimal way is going to deliver that kind of content also using the HDX kind of technology. Using the HDX kind of technology is going to deliver. Okay, so then how to control those kind of like a HDX and train devices is scanners or those handicom kind of devices we are calling, and smart card devices, and even OEM kind of devices. That means that manufacturer have their own special devices we have. That kind of OEM devices, also original equipment manufacturer kind of devices. Printers, we have two types of printers nowadays. Printers like previously we have a COM port or LPT port we have, but now we are not getting LPT port. With the USB itself, we are getting those printers also. Okay, so then we have like a webcam. Then like we have the different OEM kind of data, and even some of the virtual channels they kept for the future purpose also. So these, like here, these we are going to communicate. These all the different virtual channel drivers has been provided. Almost more than 32 plus virtual channels have been connecting. And for each virtual channel, we can allocate more bandwidth, or we can restrict that less bandwidth, and we can block that connection also. Okay, so these how that the client and server the communication is going to happen. The session is going to be transferred to the user. Then mouse and keyboard strokes would be sent from the client to server. Okay. So by default, some of the virtual channels have been connecting. Some of them are not going to connect also. Okay. So these we are going to manage through the policies. Through the mostly the this policies itself, we are going to manage. And even what is the meaning of HDX is high definition experience while delivering graphic kind of multimedia animations. It takes more bandwidth, but Citrix have their own technology using the HDX. Even that content also can be delivered in an optimal way, and that we can control through the policies. Through the policies, we are going to control. And by default, like ICA is very secure kind of protocol also. Okay, all the data is going to be encapsulated and encrypted also using TLS kind of certificates. Okay, so by default, we are getting that. And how we can block or allow those virtual channels depends upon our requirement. So for some users, I want to give some virtual channels. For other users, I want to restrict that kind of virtual channels. Then what is the solution we have? So we can control mostly through the Citrix policies. So that is the purpose. We have those Citrix policies we have. Okay. Yeah. Any doubts on this?
No.
Okay. So then. So here by default USB redirection is prohibited by default. Drive mapping is enabled by default. So it depends upon our requirement. We can control this, and we can check it like what virtual channels have been from the director. We can check that, or from the policy modeling wizard also we can check those policy modeling wizard also. We are going to check. Okay, say this will the how the printing job flow works. We'll discuss from the printer wise. So from the printer wise, we'll discuss that. So now here these DLLs on the client side, how we are getting those are the nothing but the drivers. How we are getting those? So by installing that workspace app, we are getting those all. Okay, by installing that workspace app, we are getting those all the driver code. If any of the DLLs have been corrupted, we need to update those workspace app. Need to update those workspace app need to be updated.
Client side.
Yeah, on the client side. Those DLLs are nothing but the drivers. At the time of connection, these drivers are required to connect to that applications, all those, and to work with those devices also.
Okay.
So these all with that DLLs, all these with the drivers we are getting. So what is the best practice is to manage the bandwidth, always provide necessary virtual channels itself. If we give all the virtual channels, what is the advantage and what is the disadvantage? If you enable all the virtual channels, what is the advantage and disadvantage?
Disadvantage.
Advantage is user experience is good. You will get more features. Disadvantage is, what is the disadvantage? Bandwidth is the constraint. Okay, so it will take more bandwidth. Okay, so it depends upon the requirement. Only those features is we give. If the bandwidth is a constraint, those are the remote offices, those kind of users compared to bandwidth. I want to give importance to the basic features. So it depends upon the requirement, depends upon the users from where we are connecting, what is the network bandwidth, which type of features they are going to use, which type of job they are doing. According to that, we need to design our policies. For all of them, we shouldn't use that unfiltered policy, we shouldn't use. And those best practices depends upon the user requirement. Citrix has provided even through the templates they are providing. So we can use those templates and from that we can manage those. Okay. So then, like already we discussed Citrix policies. So what is the Citrix policies are some set of settings, how we can control the behavior of performance of the sessions, what are the virtual channels need to be enabled, which behavior need to be given to the users, and like security, how we can enforce session times. So these all the things and profile related also we can control through the policies. Okay, so mostly we can apply the Citrix policies either from the Citrix Studio we can apply or we can apply from the AD group policies also we can integrate. In the by default we don't get at the AD level these like we have the Citrix is providing ADMX templates. Those we need to configure on the group policies. Like by default we can use from the studio wise, but if you want to integrate even with the at the OU level itself, both Microsoft and the Citrix policies I want to integrate, then we are going to import ADMX and through the AD group policy itself we can apply those policies. Okay, then here there is one small question. I have the same setting, but I have the conflict of values between Citrix Studio I disabled and from the AD group policy for the same policy I have enabled. So if I do like this, can you guess what is the behavior we are going to get?
Yes, sir. 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 Yes, sir.
So that means Citrix Studio level I have like one setting. At the Active Directory group policy level, I have another setting. Both having the conflicts. So we don't use both, but if we have that kind of use case, then which one will take the precedence? Either Citrix will take the precedence, or AD group policy will take the. Okay. So then here the group policy itself is going to be used. Okay. The GPO value is going to win. Okay, then we have mostly the scope is user level or at the computer level also we are going to apply. Okay, and at the policy level also we have seen for each policy by default unfit policy is getting priority one, but depends upon the like a policy priority order. Like the if you have any conflict of settings, that policy evaluation is going to work. The policy evaluation is going to work on this. Okay, so now here people will ask us one important priority order of the Citrix and AD policies. So by default, we have local like security policies. If the device is not in the AD, then these local secpol.msc we can use. So these local security policies are going to be used. The second one on top of that, we have the local security policies we have. Then, like we have the AD level, we have the policies, and if there is any conflict between even in the AD also, we may have some settings, and the Citrix level we have the settings. Then Citrix will take the priority. So compared to AD and the Citrix policies, that means not Citrix policy applied from GPO. We have a AD policy and a Citrix policy, then definitely Citrix policy is having high priority. And here in the Citrix policy, Studio and GPO, which one will have the priority? So at the group policy level, like GPO level, what are the policies has been applied? That is having more settings. At the GPO level, what are the policies we have applied? So that's having more. Like a priority order. Okay. Finally, at the OU level, what are the policies we have applied? So that is having more like a level. So compared to even in the AD also we can apply at the site level, but compared to the site level, the final like at the OU level, what are the policies has been applied? So that's having the highest priority. Okay, so compared to domain also, site, domain, OU level, like at the OU level, we can have both the group policies at the Microsoft level we can have and the Citrix policies. And in those, if there is any conflict, for the Citrix server, Citrix policies will take the priority. Citrix policies will take the priority. So from that we are going to manage those. From that we are going to manage the policies. So this is the priority order. The least priority is the local security policies that would be overridden by the like from the AD group policies. And at the AD level also we have site, domain, OU. Okay, and if there is any conflict between Citrix Studio and the AD policies applied from Citrix, ADGP was having the policies more priority. And at the AD level, if you have a conflict of settings at the site level and OU will have the highest priority of the policies. Okay, so that's OU we need to tell. We have more like highest priorities we have. Okay.
Mostly user level policies is applied on computer level.
That mostly we are applying on the user itself. At the server level, like session reliability settings, those we are applying on the server level. Because at the business wise, different users, different settings are required.
It means side on side.
No. At the OU itself, we will add those users also. At the OU level, we'll have the both the combination of user and servers.
Okay.
From that we can manage those. Okay.
Okay.
So here GPO and studio level, GPO override studio. And inside the GPO, if we have Microsoft and Citrix policies, Citrix will take the priority. That's no doubts, right?
Yeah. But GPU level, the GPU will be there.
Yes, yes. At the GPU level, say suppose some of the RDP policies also may overlap with Citrix ICA policies. There, Citrix will take the priority. At the Citrix level, like we apply the policies through GPO, we apply the policies to Studio, then GPO will take the priority.
On Studio, or what else is it?
Same, yesterday we applied through the Studio only, right?
Yes, I.
So those will take the priority. Okay, if I don't apply through GPO, Citrix policies will come.
Mostly from Studio only.
Yeah. Okay, and inside the policies also at the Citrix Studio level, we can apply through like a policy priority orders we can provide. Okay, by default that unfiltered policy is having a high priority. One, so we can increase or decrease those priority orders also we can decrease or increase.
Custom policy.
So it depends upon that the final resultant set of policies we can confirm from the policy modeling wizard we can confirm that. Okay, and what is the meaning of policy filters? So policy filters to whom we can apply those policy filters. Okay, so mostly we can use OU at the OU level. We are going to use our delivery group. Okay, or whether the user is connecting from the internal or external user, we are getting our IP address. Okay, client IP address or our client name. Okay, so based on these location wise, so these all the different filters we have, and from that we are going to manage. Okay, so from that we are going to manage those filters we are going to apply. Mostly like we are going to apply through the users or like from the OU we are going to choose. And what is the meaning of templates? Are Citrix is providing the policy templates depends upon the requirement of the users. User want very high definition experience. If you want to give the user high definition experience, what is the requirement is the bandwidth should be very good. So those are the LAN users, and we have very good bandwidth. And they want very good high-end experience to the users, then we are going to choose this template. High definition, okay, balanced, high server scalability. That means I have limited servers. It need to accommodate more number of users. Okay, optimized for WAN. That means those are WAN users, but still I want to deliver the best things to the users over the WAN also. Okay, and the SD-WAN, like they have on the legacy device, legacy connections they have, but we have the SD optimized. That's going to set up. And so there are some of the graphics users, multimedia kind of users, or animation, or they're going to deliver AutoCAD, 3D CAD. So these kind of experience, then they want more graphics. So that's for their important work. Otherwise, their quality is going to be affected. For such kind of users, we need to deliver high graphics need to be delivered. But the prerequisite is they should have more bandwidth. They should have the more bandwidth should be there.
Where
Okay.
this will WAN and SD-WAN, where will lose? Maybe, for example,
No, no, the GPU graphics on the server side it is required, but client side they require more bandwidth.
from this way.
Yeah, from their side. Okay. So what is that? What is the template is? From the template we can create the policies directly, and even we can modify those policies also. But the main advantage is Citrix is providing their recommendations through the policies. Citrix is providing those recommendations through the policies. And these already we discuss in the studio level. We have the policy priority orders we have. And how that resultant set of policies we can get it is, we can run the policy modeling wizard. From that, we can get those. So from the Citrix Studio, we have the policy modeling wizard. Okay. Or like even from the director also, from the monitoring wise, we can check those policies. So what are the settings we want to do? Or from the PowerShell also, we have the commandlet. Okay. Or GP result. Okay. So that resultant set of policies, we can get it from the like a GP result also. With that user session, we can check those GP result. Okay. So with this, we are going to evaluate those group policy kind of wizards.
We can check applied policies.
Yes, what are the final result? And maybe for the troubleshooting, the user is complaining he is not getting. Then what they may have the multiple policies that users have been applied. Which policies has been applied finally? That's we can confirm by running the policy modeling wizard. We can confirm that. So lower number is highest priority. That means one number is having high priority. If 10 and 100 is there, which high 10 will have the high priority compared to 100.
But manually we can
Yeah, we can increase or decrease those priorities. So it depends upon the requirement. Because even if you create a new policy and still if the unfiltered policy is having the priority one, then your created policies won't work because still unfiltered policy itself having
more priority.
high priority. Still unfiltered policy itself having high priority. Okay. So then here we have some of the policies, maybe like will like frames per second, optimize for 3D. So just go through all the settings in that desktop wallpapers also. It depends upon the requirement. We need to session reliability, keep alive. Okay. So keep alive and session reliability. What is the meaning of session reliability? So this is also one of the important interview question people will ask us. What is the difference between session reliability and keep alive? What is the meaning of session reliability? Say here, if I go for the session reliability, say we are going to get that if the network disconnected within the 3 minutes, if the network retains, the session is going to be connected. Okay, so that's what is the advantage is even if any interruption happens, the user experience could be again. I want to connect from the scratch means user experience is bad. That is the reason if you enable session reliability, It's encapsulate all the ICA traffic, and if the user network drops also, the session remains active, okay, within a default duration of 180 seconds, and the session is going to be freeze on the client side. That user is not going to lose the session. And once the network has been reconnected, even in the Gmail also, if you lose the Wi-Fi, you will be seeing trying to reconnect like that. So user is going to get the reconnecting kind of mission instead of disconnection. And if the network has been retained within 3 minutes, the session is going to be connected. On the server side also, the session is going to be alive. Okay. Then, like, say here, what is the meaning of TCP? Like, keep alive. The keep alive is ICA keep alive. We have. Okay, so that's using the 1494 port, and it is going to detect idle sessions or dead TCP connections, and that sessions is going to be connected. Okay, so that means it's going to be sending that periodic pings, and it's going to recognize if any of the session is ended on the client side, and that's going to be like deleted. And by default, that keep alive setting is for 2 hours. So whether the session is alive or not, it's keep on checking those. If the on the client side unnecessary idle settings are there, it's going to be dropping those connections. Okay, so for that we have the keep alive we have. Okay, and we have the settings related to session reliability, uh, that default duration of 180 seconds, or do you want session reliability or not? All those also we can apply. And we have the audio clipboard, audio quality, client redirection, Windows media redirection, Flash, browser content redirection. Okay, so those also we have the different policies we have. Say printer drivers will discuss. USB by default disabled, clipboard is enabled. But in the interview, people will ask us, I want to restrict like cut, copy, paste operations to the user. They don't directly tell the clipboard redirection. They will tell the use case. So that's then you need to tell, I'm going to restrict that to that user clipboard redirection. Then that user is not going to get. Okay, but by default, whether that is enabled or not. By default that is enabled, then we no need to do anything. By default that clipboard operations will come. If you want to restrict, then we need to use. Say you want to restrict, then we need to use that like a clipboard redirection should be prohibited or disabled. But USB drives are by default prohibited, because in most of the client side offices the data is very important. That's the reason they don't allow USB drives. Okay, say clipboard redirection, client drive, USB, watermarking, then session logs. Okay, so auto connection, session reliability, reconnect behavior, and profile also we have like a profiles also. UPM also has been integrated with the Citrix itself. And most of the HDX are better to enable itself. Mostly the HDX policies are better to enable itself. So we have the different sections or categories we have, depends upon that we can choose, and each section we have the different policies we have. Okay, so mostly the printing also we are going to control through the policies itself. So even the printing is also, so I'll tell one of the use case of the Citrix printing. Say we have the session is on the server side, but I want to give the printer on the local. So that server is in the US and the users are connecting from the India. If they give the print, what is the default behavior is that print may goes to server side on the US, but we can't go to US to collect those prints, right? Then what is the behavior is the client having the printer on the client side, that printers need to be connected. That printers need to be connected on the client side. Okay, so that means what is the use case normally in the normal desktop environment? We have two types of printers. Normally in the desktop environment, we have two types of printers we have. So on the client side, so what are the types of printers we have is on the client side we have like a local printer, that means to the client that has been attached, or we have the network printer has been attached. On the client side, we have the local printer and we have the network printer. Both we have. Okay. So then in the Citrix environment, so what are the possible type of printers are possible is, okay. What are the types of printers we have is, so now like we have this here the client to server we have. So total four types of printers are possible. That means one is client local printer, then client network printer, then server having a local printer, then server network printer. So among these, one printer realistic wise, it's almost practically impossible. Which one is not possible to the clients to get those printers? So here we have the four possible use cases, right?
Mostly network.
Which one?
Network use.
No, no. Network not. Server local printer. So assume in a data center no one are allowed. Okay. So server having a local printer also, even if we give the print, who will get that printer?
Yeah.
Okay. So that is the reason this is almost like a, not a practical use case. But with the client local printer and the client network printer, what is the scenario is where that application or that OS is running
Of the
on the server side, it is running. Okay, but like here the Citrix need to support these kind of challenge. So this even in the cloud also nowadays we are getting these kind of challenges, but Citrix has given very stable solution very long back itself. Okay, Citrix has given very, I hope you understand this challenge, right? If it is a local printer, okay, I can give and the printer driver should be there and I'll get the printer. If I have a network printer, I'll attach a network printer, that share path I'll attach. From there I'll get it and I'll take the printer. But in this use case, what's happening? The printer is attached to the client and the server is running somewhere, and we say there may be some thousands of client printers we have, that all the printers how the drivers are going to be managed. That means that like OS or that device, in order to recognize, definitely we require the drivers also. How we are going to manage those? Drivers also is one of the challenge. How we are going to manage those drivers also is one of the challenge we have. So these for all these the session is running on the server side, the printer is connected to the client side, then client printer driver server doesn't know, then how to give the printer. So these all the challenges, and in the business wise, say you go to a point of sales device, or maybe a movie tickets counter, definitely like they want to give the print to the user or not. Okay, so printing is very very important, because at the end of the session, user will expect a print, a bill, okay, ticket. So these kind of requirements, Citrix need to address.
different user, different printers. Yeah.
Different drivers also, different hardware there may be there. Those all Citrix need to support. Okay, so Citrix has given a very stable solution. Okay, so how that works, we'll discuss.
Big challenge. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the challenge here. Like whenever the Citrix the user log into the Citrix session from the local PC or thing client, so by default at the time of virtual channel user session connection itself, all the client local printers, network printers are going to be connected to the Citrix use case. Okay, all are connecting to the server. Then the driver it is using by default is like all the session printers are auto created. Okay, using the universal print driver. Citrix has provided one Citrix universal print driver. So with this, most of the sessions are going to be connected automatically. Most of the Citrix sessions are auto connected by default with those use case. What is the advantage with that? Like we don't need to install multiple
Drivers.
drivers. So by default, that connection is going to be connected. Okay. So by default, those connections are connecting by default using that ICA virtual channels itself, even for the Citrix print to spooler service also is going to work. And if I give the print, that server is not sending to the server local printer over the session to that client device local printer also, it can give the prints. Okay. Then second solution is I have my network printer. Okay, so network printer we have. Then Citrix connect to the session. I don't have the local printer. Say every device having a local printer also in the offices, like maybe in the point of sales devices, what is going to happen is every user will have a local printer. But in the office kind of environment, for the floor wise, we may have like two or three or maybe four network printers we have. That's attached to every client device. The desktop engineer is going to attach that network printer, or we can configure our own self-service kind of printers also, like network printers we are going to choose. Okay, then I connect it to my session. Then server need it to not to my local printer, to where it need to send
Network.
to the client attached network printer. It need to send. Okay, and that print job need to be sent from the server side or from the client side. That job need to send. By default the behavior is server is going to send that print job. Okay, but my server is in US, my network printer is in Hyderabad office. Then what is the challenge here? If all the print jobs comes from the server side, what is the challenge? It takes more WAN traffic. Okay, so then we have a policy. Even we can restrict it through. So we can restrict that policy the path also from the client side to the, so that means from a client device to that network printer. Say suppose in Hyderabad I have my office in the third floor, my workstation. Then that's from the third floor network printer it is sending. Okay, but by default for the network printer who is sending that like a job, the print job is coming from the server side. Okay, so then here we connected to that print server, network printing is working. Mostly in the corporate environments, we have the network printers we are going to set up.
Spooler, what will do?
Print spooler is a service on the client side that connects to that at the session time, it's going to connect to the servers. Okay, and say here we have the driver modes, we have EMF, XPS, PDF. Mostly now, like XPS mode is recommended by the Windows. Okay, so XML paper specification. Okay, so that these all the options we can configure through the policies. These all the policies we have, whether we want which type of settings, all these we can apply through the policies we are going to apply. Okay, and driver modes also we are going to use.
No, mostly use no PDF mode. Now
No,
these
no,
days.
XPS is recommended by Citrix.
Hmm.
Okay, so XPS is recommended by the Citrix. And mostly the print drivers also. What is the advantage of Citrix like universal printer driver? What is the advantage? Say suppose here my client device is connecting. Okay, so my client device, I have the different local devices. It's connecting to the server session. Okay, by default, what is the behavior is? It is going to use universal printer drivers. What is the advantage with the Citrix universal printer drivers is like most of the we no need to install multiple drivers on that server side.
Oh,
On the server side, we can't install multiple drivers, right? Okay, so but what is the disadvantage is? The advantage is we don't need to install multiple drivers. Otherwise, if the users having 20 different type of printers on the client side, then all the drivers we need to install in all the servers. That's again a challenging kind of thing. Then, like the Citrix has provided a universal printer driver. Using that, the session can be established. But the disadvantage is if the printer is multifunctional, if the printer is multifunctional, all those features doesn't work. What is that meaning? If my printer having a scanner, fax, so these kind of multifunctional printers if you have with the universal printer driver, only
only printing
only
works.
printing works. Only printing works. But other things it's not going to.
But most situation you need printing
Yeah.
only.
So here the advantage of Citrix Universal Printed drivers are like at the time of session we no need to install that compatibility, printer driver management, okay, all that like over burden also on the server side also. The connection also is going to be happening very fastly with the Universal Printer driver. But the disadvantage is, what is the disadvantage? If the printer having multifunctional capabilities, all the features doesn't work with
Universal.
the universal printer drivers. At that time, what we need to do is we need to install OEM drivers. Means when you purchase that printer, he will give that like a OEM driver, right? Mostly nowadays, like they're telling to download from their website itself.
Yes, yes.
Previously, they used to give an CD or DVD. Nowadays, we can download it from there, like maybe from that from their website, we can download those. So what is the advantage of OEM printer drivers? What is the advantage of OEM printer drivers?
If works, if
More
multi.
features will work.
Yeah.
Multifunctional features works. Disadvantage is on the client side we may have the different type of printed devices. For all those we need to install different OEM drivers need to be installed on the server side.
This will OEM drivers now not in client side.
OEM
We should
drivers
we should install on a server.
in the on the VDS server because we don't know to which server it goes, right?
Yes, yes.
That's the reason in most of the servers we need to install those. So that's again a challenging kind of thing.
For that we have to
So
as per what
so
we will say.
that is if the user is very particular about that multifunctional features, then for those only use. Otherwise, better to go for universal printer drivers.
So how can
Okay,
we
so
manage this?
come again.
How can we manage this kind of situation?
Yeah, OEM drivers we need to install in the servers.
Server side.
Yeah, so maybe only for 2 or 3 printers only we have the multifunctional capabilities. Only for them you choose that.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, okay.
So these all we can apply through the policies. Okay. by default, what is the behavior of all client auto create client printers are? It automatically connecting the client local printers, client network printers. But one best practice what I'll suggest is only client default printer only better to connect. If more printers are connecting, what is the problem at the session connection stage? If more printers are connecting, what is the problem? If the more printers are connecting, then it takes more time for connection purpose. If more printers are connecting, it takes more time to establish the connections. Okay, so that's the reason instead of auto creating all client printers, choose only default. And by default, it using Citrix Universal Printer driver itself. And even if that not compatible, it tries to match with the similar kind of drivers. And we can give the printing bandwidth. Say for some users, printing is very important. Okay, say maybe for ticket counter kind of point of sales devices, I'll give more bandwidth for the printing. Okay, and even we can attach the network printers automatically. What is the meaning of session printers are? I have grouped like a Hyderabad users based on the floor wise. Hyderabad third floor users, fourth floor users. That server itself is attaching those network printers also for them. Means if automatically if they give the print for the third floor users, it goes to third floor network printer. The client side that's not attached. Session printers have been sent from the server itself we can attach. The session printers can be attached from the server side itself we can attach those printers. Okay, so these mostly we need to discuss if the printers are not connecting. So that's a very big challenge business wise because they can't give the printing kind of things. Those all right. If the printing is not working, so we need to check the policies, resultant set of policies. Print spooler service is running on the server and any event logs related to the drivers, driver compatibility kind of things, network bandwidth, and very less bandwidth has been given to the users. So like this here we need to check that. We need to check the logs, print spooler service, event viewer. Okay, so these all GP results, and the policy may be blocking auto connection of the client printers. Okay, say if the printing is slow, what is the problem is? Like maybe van traffic, maybe is there or policy wise have reduced the cap of the bandwidth percentage, and drivers also maybe compatibility, log on delay. So then there is one policy. By default, the behavior is all printers need to be connected, then only session is going to be delivered. But there is one policy: first deliver the session, later connect to those printers also. That's we can reduce the log on delay. So by default, the behavior is all the printers need to be connected at the virtual channels when it's establishing the connection. After that, the session will start. But that's we can tune through a policy. First connect the sessions, later backend the printers may be connected. Okay. So what is the concept of session printers are? The network attached printers. I know the third floor printers or Hyderabad network printers, all that on the server side in the policy itself I'm attaching as the session printers, and when the user connects, who is going to send the traffic to those session printers? Who is going to send those traffic? Server itself is going to send. That means my servers are in the US and my session printers are in the India. Then the bandwidth is the constraint because there will be some thousands of jobs are running all over the WAN traffic. It's going to be delivered. But in my branch is my servers also in the US. My branch is also in the US. Then we can think for session printers also. That will reduce lot of desktop support engineer roles to to configure those network printers on the client devices, because server itself is sending to those session printers which has been applied to the users. Okay. So here session printers advantages are easier management, but disadvantage is the bandwidth is a constraint. And the auto creation of client printers, by default this policy is enabled. But better practice is only client default printer. That means if you have the multiple printers on the client side, client also can choose one default printer he can set. Even if they give the print, automatically it goes to that default printer. Yeah. So now here wait for the printers to be created. Okay. So I recommend this setting is disabled because first the user connection is going to be,
Loadings.
yeah, first it gives the loading, later that connection can be restricted. Okay. So with this, what is the advantages? We can give the log on time can be optimized. And by default, the printer is client default printer itself is that unless the user administrator attached the session printer. And by default, we are getting universal printer driver. Okay. So then here on the server side also. So on the server side also we are having Microsoft also will include in the Windows lot of drivers they will include. That means most of the printer owners are giving those drivers, and Windows also is including those. Okay. Additional to that, Citrix has given universal printer driver also. Okay. That means Windows also is giving lot of drivers. So mostly nowadays lot of printers also connected with that. But if the printer having more capabilities, those may not work. Okay. And printer driver mapping also we need to set up. Say suppose here with this like user is complaining that HP laser printer they have, that's for that printer driver I'm going to select like Citrix universal printer I'm going to connect. So that means I'm mostly I'm trying unless if the Citrix universal printer is not supported, then go for the OEM kind of solution. And even we can set the bandwidth also, and we can apply the network policies over the session printers. We can apply. And like a printer settings like based on the user we are going to give. So what is the meaning of here? We have the three types of drivers. So first one is inbox drivers, then OEM, then universal. So inbox drivers means with the Windows itself we are getting those drivers. OEM means that original printer driver. Then we have universal printer driver. Okay.
Yes.
So both are everyone have the advantages and disadvantages, but universal printer driver is recommended.
Inbox means what is it?
Come again?
Inbox,
Inbox
inbox.
means with the Windows we are getting those.
Hmm.
Okay. So now here the supported formats EMF, XPS, PDF. Citrix recommends XPS or now in the modern ways PDF also. Okay. So it depends upon our requirement. We need to choose these policies and how we are going to apply these policies also. Like mostly in the policies itself we have. Okay, so virtual channels, security, session related, profile related, printers. Okay, mostly we are controlling bandwidth. We are controlling through the policies itself. Okay, so even whenever we have that time, like we need to go through the policies. Each and every policy we don't use in the job, but as an administrator we have a like a idea, and if any of the client comes with that kind of requirement, we can apply through the policies. Okay, so I'll share for the printing also. We have one more video. I'll share that also. Just go through once. So mostly in the tomorrow I'll explain Citrix inbuilt profile management called as UPM. We'll discuss. Later we'll go for FS logics.
User profile management, yeah.
Come again?
User profile management.
Yeah, user profile management.